Even after all these years, I still remember that distinct sound pattern. Never had there been something that stuck with me for so long, or something that terrified me so much whenever it crossed my thoughts, than the memories that that sound pattern brought to me. The origins of the sound pattern are simple. They came from a cheesy typing adventure game that I used to play on my family's computer. In 2006, my dad brought one of the new Dell desktop computers that had just come out. This was the first computer we had ever had at home. The only other time I got to use computers was at school for some project, so this was pretty exciting for me. The only catch was my dad said he had to use his computer for work as well. So basically, whenever he wasn't working, which was nearly all the time, we would be able to use the computer for entertainment. When I could get a chance to go on the computer, I took full advantage of it. But it was boring most of the time, as there wasn't much to do. I did find some kid sites and a couple of silly flash games on them, but I quickly grew bored. I had heard of YouTube from some friends at school, but there wasn't much on YouTube that I could really enjoy. After many computer turns of boredom, I soon grew bored of the computer itself. There wasn't anything of interest anymore. I had pretty much neglected that computer for a while now, focusing on my elementary school work instead of the machine that I had once thought was amazing. That all changed when my dad came home one day with a couple of games. They were mainly just educational games. Some were all about mathematics, some were about world geography, and one game was even about science, believe it or not. But the one title that caught my eye was a game called City Typing Adventure. I thought I would enjoy the game since I loved spelling words. Hell, at school I would get my friends to say a list of words and I could write them down and see how many I could get right. I know, I was kind of a weird kid in elementary, but anyways, I took the game and brought it up to my room since my dad needed to use the computer anyways for work at the moment. The disc was in a shoddy paper sleeve that was very worn and faded. On the front, in very neat print, were the words City Typing Adventure. On the back was a description of the game, but in very broken English. It read, "Tough typing game that tests player skill." There was nothing else on that sleeve except for the title and description. No company logo or name, not a thing. Finally, my dad was done doing whatever he was doing on the computer, so I went downstairs and straight to the computer. I pressed the button to open the disc tray, and the tray popped out, took the disc out and the shoddy paper sleeve, and placed it into the tray. I closed the tray and waited for an icon to pop up or something. It took a couple minutes, but a blank icon popped up on the screen, simply named Typing Game 1. Without hesitation, I clicked the icon and was brought to a retro-looking startup screen. I clicked the startup option and was put into a difficulty selection screen. I wondered why a typing game would need a difficulty selection. Maybe there were just harder words to spell if you went to a higher difficulty. The one thing that really confused me, though, was the last difficulty option. It read insane_1_. Okay, I got the insane part, but the _1_ part just didn't make any sense. Maybe I'd try it later. But right then, I just wanted to try it on easy. I clicked the easy option and was thrown into a blank white screen. Now, for a minute or two, nothing had showed up. Then suddenly a character appeared in the middle. And it was just some 8-bit ghost-looking character that had no detail whatsoever. He had this very wide grin on his face. But why the hell was he so happy? A text box appeared saying, "Hello. My name is ghost/image_.jpg, and I will be your partner through the adventures in the city. First, we will start out with some simple words." I guess the game probably hadn't finished completely, since some things were still left out, like the ghost name, obviously. A line popped onto the screen that said, "Type here." Now, before I could get my hands on the mouse, a deep pixelated voice started to say something. "Are you ready? Go." The first word that flashed on the screen was red. I typed it on the keyboard, and it made a little success sound before moving on to the next word. Purple. I typed it in, and the same sound played. Next was 7, followed by 8, sound, light, food, and then finally help. Now I typed help, but I accidentally missed the P. The screen flashed red and a buzzer sound played. The ghost popped back up, still with his wide grin. "Oops, looked like you got a word wrong. No matter. You'll do better next time, right?" Do better next time. Ghost, I did damn near perfect. The screen faded to black and then quickly switched out for another white screen. Once again, the line popped up, still saying, "Type here." The deep pixely voice didn't show up this time, though. Once again, the words showed at the top of the screen and I typed them out on the keyboard, but on the last word, 6, I hit the X and it still showed that I did it wrong. There was no red screen or buzzer, but the ghost showed up looking more agitated. "I see you got another word wrong. Let's hope you don't get one wrong next time. Next round gets a little more complicated." Wow, let's hope you don't get one wrong next time. Jesus. Sounds like a threat. Ghost, whatever, I'll get it right. Just watch me. I realized I was talking to the computer screen. I hope no one had heard me or they might have thought I was going crazy. Once again, I blew through the round, but somehow I got the last word wrong. The ghost seemed pissed off at me now. "Why are you getting these wrong? I mean, I could do this myself. You are worthless. Go away." The fuck? The game was telling me that I was worthless? Oh, yeah? Well, fuck you too. I angrily exited the game and returned to the desktop. What a game. Telling me it was worthless. I was worthless out of everything. What kind of a child's game was that? I went back upstairs and went to my room. I spent the rest of the night reading comics, still thinking about how rude that damn game was. I didn't really want to go back and play it, but I finally did 2 days later. I booted up the game and was greeted with the same retro-looking title menu. I clicked start and noticed that the easy option had all but disappeared. The good option and the insane option were still left, and that was really weird. I exited out of the game and booted it back up, but the easy option again was still gone. It had completely disappeared. Man, for an educational game, it sure did a good job of scaring the shit out of me. Reluctantly, I chose the good option. Instead of a white screen, I was thrown into a pixelated picture of what looked like a black alley. And just like the last stage, this one had its own special character. But this time it was an actual person, and he looked almost like this drug dealer. So it was fitting that he'd show up in the alley stage. "Hey man, I'm insert name. I'm gonna help you through these stages so you can make it out of the back alley alive." I guess this guy wasn't finished either. Wait, make it out alive? That's just weird. I wonder what this game came from and who made it. Whoever made it obviously doesn't know what children's games are supposed to be like. Once again, the line with "type here" popped up, and I waited for words to show up. Again, the booming pixelated voice spoke, but this time it said, "Beat this round or else." I didn't even care anymore. It was just some stupid game that was trying its best to scare me. The round started and I blew through it with no trouble once again, except I got stuck on the last word. There was a character that wasn't even on the keyboard. I looked over the keyboard over and over, frantically searching for the missing character, but to no avail. The monitor cut to a bright red screen and a very high-pitched sound erupted out of the speakers. It sounded like a scream mixed with static, and I then switched it over to an animation of some demonic-type creature shooting something that seemed like a gun. It then switched back to a single scene, where it showed the character from the stage lying on the ground in a pool of blood. Why couldn't you do it, you bastard? If you weren't so damn stupid, I wouldn't have end up shot. Everything fell silent and the screen cut to black. It was frozen solid. This was a lot to take in for a 5th grader. I just got someone killed. No, it was just a game. It was just a game. But was it? I don't know what the hell it was anymore. And then I heard it. I looked at the screen but still saw nothing. And then it just appeared. "Hello, I'm _1_. I see you've gotten yourself into a sticky situation. Don't worry, it'll all be over soon. Then you can be with the others." Okay, I'm done. I pressed escape on that keyboard, but nothing happened. "Oh, but you must not leave now. The party's just started." I thought I was going to have a panic attack. I tried to shut off the computer, but that didn't work either. The screen faded to black, and then I went to a blank white screen. The "type here" line appeared, and at the top there were words flashing across way too fast for me to even see what they were. And then it suddenly stopped on 2 lone words. "Help me." The game exited and I was returned to the desktop. That was the end. Now, I've kept that godforsaken disc for years. It brings back terrible memories. The last time I put the disc into the computer was during the making of the story, so I could pull character sprites and such from the files, but I swear that while pulling info, I could still hear that sound pattern. It was almost as if it was coming from right behind me. And that, ladies and gents, was another typing creepypasta. Now, we haven't done many of these, and the last one of any notice was Mr. Mix, and that one was decent. I'm not going to say it was the best thing since sliced bread after, careful thought on it, but let's start from the beginning on this creepypasta itself. For one, the story has a good first act. It's normal. We've all had a family computer at one point, and we've all had old discs with really old games. I've had a few discs myself that some of them were just really obscure emulators. Some of them were weird homebrew games that, you picked up from, some sketchy store way back in the day, or, your parents found some disc that they thought was a game you wanted, but, you really didn't know what it was, and that kind of stuff. It's a very normal scenario. I'm sure a lot of us have went through it. None of them, possessed the games I had, at least, but I don't think I can say that for everyone. But yes, we were in a similar scenario. I'm sure a lot of people were. I was myself. That was before, things got to the way of the tablet, where family computers started to be a little more phased out. But yeah, this one did feel realistic from how it began. Now, the game was interesting in the beginning, and then it tapers off towards the end. For example, if you look at some of these screenshots, they're actually really well put together. There's actually a finesse that goes into it. If you make it look too good, then it just looks like it's Photoshop. But if you give it the perfect amount of crap factor visuals and the proper planning and the creation and following how a title screen would actually look like, making sure it looks good, but at the same time making it look like a screenshot pulled off of some obscure device just so you can show this is a creepypasta is really good. One of the best examples is how Ben Majora's Mask did it. It wasn't like it was just captured exclusively off an emulator with the point that they added all the graphical benefits to it, so it just looked really fake in the end. Sure, it might have been creepy to look at, but I guess without the aesthetic we all know and expect from haunted video game footage, it doesn't work well in the grand scheme of things. Here, it was done just fine, and there are other creepypastas like it, but it was done fine over here. A bad example would technically be the Metroid 2 creepypasta we looked at, where sure, the screenshots were unique, they were good. One of the best examples, actually, is not just that, it is Godzilla NES. That is something even better. Where Godzilla NES, sure, the screenshots were good, but, it just looked too emulator-ish, It just looked too crisp, and sure, there are reasons why that was the way it was, but again, when something looks too crisp like that, it's harder to take it seriously. Over here, it was done well. Now, the dialogue, when we get into, really kind of kills this creepypasta for me. How the ghost talks, it's just some of the worst, and honestly, if that was omitted, it would be highly for the best. Alongside the dialogue is points where the story tries to make you feel too much into the player's shoes. They start to give the player a bit of originality, individuality, and the player starts to do their own thing. They think their own way, and that's not bad by any means. Actually, that in ways can be very good. But over here, it doesn't work. For a creepypasta like this to really work, the player has to be incredibly relatable, meaning you give them the bare amounts of personality, just the right amount, just so that you can sort of inject your own. And, the reason why you also put their activities in there, where it can be to a point monotonous, is so you can really inject yourself into that player or protagonist in the story as well, just so you actually immerse yourself in the story. And that works, but again, both methods do require finesse. Over here, I don't think it was done very well. But that being said, as a whole, the creepypasta wasn't bad. Sure, it got a little tapered off at the end, but the concept, while it wasn't unique, was executed well, and honestly, I gotta say, if I came across a typing game like this, I don't know what I would do. I'd probably be gypped off, considering how it reacts to the player itself, but like I said, I always do like to ask you, ladies and gentlemen, what do you think about this creepypasta? What would you rate it, and what would you change to make it better? This has been another episode of Haunted Gaming, part of Creepypastas. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. This is me, Mudahar, and I am